Welcome to our Lunch and Learn, sponsored by Coldwell Banker. The topic is a global view of the world of luxury real estate. Our host is Craig Hogan, the Vice President of Coldwell Banker Global Luxury. Craig is one of the industry's leaders of luxury sales, having helped create the Keller Williams and now the Coldwell Banker Global Luxury Program. He will take us inside the unique needs of the affluent and showcase how agents can enter into the luxury world in their market. With us is Chris Cortazzo. If passion breeds success, Chris Cortazzo is an example. As Coldwell Banker's #1 Malibu real estate agent over the past decade, Chris embodies what it means to do what you love and embrace every minute of it. With over $5 billion in sales, Chris has been widely hailed for his outstanding production and his marketing-making opinions, which are sought after by business and financial publications and broadcast media. In addition to his reign, he's reigning, y'all. In addition to his reign as Malibu's premier real estate agent, he is a member of the Coldwell Banker's elite top 1% nationwide. He has been the #1 sales agent in the company for the last 11 of 12 years out of 91,000 plus associates worldwide, and the #1 agent in Malibu and Southern California for 17 years. Phew! Give that a round of applause. Also with us is Jade Mills, one of the world's most recognized agents and a leader in Coldwell Banker Global Luxury Program. In the last 5 years, Jade was ranked the #1 real estate agent in the world for Coldwell Banker, and she achieved the highest sales volume on record of any agent in Coldwell Banker history. Jade has just recently surpassed an astounding $5 billion in career sales. Now would be the time to ask Jade for an expensive Christmas present. I would like a Tesla. In 2016, she represented 27% of all the homes sold in excess of $30 million in the west side of Los Angeles, which included her representation of the buyer exclusively on her historic sale of the Playboy Mansion for $100 million. That place must be haunted. So also joining our fabulous panel is Zanganeh. Zar started his career in real estate as an intern at the age of 15, which is weird because he's only 16 now. He is now the broker, owner of Luxe Estates and Lifestyles, and caters to the rich and famous. He holds the record for selling the most expensive home in southern Nevada and the record for the most amount of homes sold over $10 million. He is a loving father to 6 beautiful Great Danes and is one of the hosts of Star Properties on Celebrity Page TV on ABC, which is seen all over the U.S. and many international markets. Please welcome our esteemed panel. He's
it's
like,
me first.
Him first.
Hi, everybody. Wow. Look who we've got coming up. Can you believe it? You know how hard it was to get them all in one room? They're busy traveling. So I'm going to share with you just some personal stuff first about my journey as a gay man, who I really felt most of my life I was always out. But thank you for being here today, too. And I want to say thank you to NAGLREP and Jeff Berger. I don't know where you are, sir, but thank you so much for what you do. Thank you so much for what you do. Yeah. So I have the honor of representing an iconic brand and legacy with Coldwell Banker, and I've got the best gig in the world. I get to travel all over. This year so far, I've done 73 cities in 3 countries. It's just an amazing, amazing gig. I get to see the most incredible real estate all over the world and see markets all over the world and it's interesting to come back and put those all together. We live a privileged existence as real estate brokers in the United States with the things that we have and the things that others don't have. So it's a privilege to get around for the company. Thank you, Realogy, for your support of the LGBT community, especially Coldwell Banker. Thank you today for the support of HR 1447. There should simply be no discrimination in housing. It is just, can you believe it's still a thing? So I'm honored that Realogy and Coldwell Banker, all of the brands have taken a stance and moving forward. So I've had a wonderful journey. Yeah, thank you. They deserve it. So I've had a wonderful journey, quite a few twists and turns. I've gotten to travel the world, been to some of the most unbelievable countries and seen things that I would never have a chance to see. And I believe I have an incredible role as a leader in an incredible brand like Coldwell Banker. But with all of that, I got to tell you, I don't remember the last time I had to hide the fact that I was an openly gay man, but you just don't think about it anymore. But here I am today as a professional and a leader in Coldwell Banker, standing in front of this group, and I got to tell you, this is special. This is special. I hope you guys feel the same way of being here with all of our peers here in the real estate market. And you can roll that script just a little more. I can barely see this, guys. Yeah. All right. So I'm excited to be here with all of you. This is awesome. I want to get started by everybody has their why. This is why I get up every day and work so hard. Obviously, two incredibly handsome guys. Obviously, one of them is my husband. Yeah, you have to guess which one, but Rudy's the light of my life. We have been together 22 years last week. I don't know how. Yeah. He has to put up with a lot because he's got me, and I'm pretty tightly wrapped. But we also have an angel in our home, and his name is Cooper. Obviously, that's Cooper. This is probably the worst, most train wreck example of a dog you've ever seen. He is so damaged from when he was scheduled to be euthanized, and we're so glad. We always feel, if not us, who? So he's the light. He's kind of the light of our life. And if you want to see one of our Great Danes, you can when he's leaving. He's got one up here with him, which you can't even make up that much crazy, but he's got it up here with him. So this is my team. This is how I do what I do. This is the team that sells in Chicago. I'm very, very fortunate. John Crisilla's on the opposite side, Rookie of the Year last year, super guy. And the woman in the middle, she's just celebrated her 50th year of selling luxury real estate. 50 years. There's not enough liquor because that's a lot of crazy. So I was born in 1961 to a mother who unfortunately was on her own. I had no concept of the situation at the time. My grandparents, especially my grandfather, were always a large presence in my family. And as soon as I came along, they insisted that my mother, my brother by 1 year older, and I live with them. I could not have been any more loved, but by that time I was 8. My mother met a man who she thought would be a wonderful father, an ideal husband, and the world changed. It was made very clear I was no longer welcome in this order, and it only got worse from there. So by the time I decided to come out at an early age, which I thought was pretty brave at the time, but I really didn't even think about it. I just knew I had to, and I told my family, I was told straight up, you are no longer safe in this house. So as you can imagine, my journey started very, very quickly, 16 years old, and I was out on my own, and so attempting to figure out how a 16-year-old navigates the journey of it all. A brief time of sleeping where I could quickly became my new life of doing what I could just to keep it together. So being on your own and staying in school and hiding it all and never letting others know was incredibly tough. So I decided to take the world on and not just be okay of who I was, but out in the biggest way that I could. So it proved a little harder than I thought, but I figured it out. So it was sales for me. I got started in the insurance industry for 9 years. I had a 6-state region, and I had to travel with a 100% testosterone-filled, straight group of, it was rough. But I did it for 9 years. But it taught me a lot about dealing with my truth in many, many complicated situations, and it was an education at the very least. And then out of the blue, around this time, my biological father called my mother and asked if he could meet us two boys, and we decided to do it. And I'm telling you, that was an education too. In short, we decided to meet him, but I felt like I was in a Groundhog Day, Glengarry Glen Ross episode, a movie. Turns out my biological father was a real estate broker. And you can just imagine at this time, this chain smoking and big Rolexes and rotary dialing phone and the phone book for leads at night. And I thought, all right, thank you so much, I'm done. And I ran as quick as I could. And so wouldn't you know, oh, that's my mom. Look at my mom in the middle. What about that hair? What about that hair? And the other image is my brother behind me and then me in the front. I don't remember ever looking like that, but apparently that's what it looks like when you are very, very young. So getting out of the insurance industry, I wanted to make sure that I was doing what I wanted to do, being who I wanted to be. So I made the obvious career choice and joined Mary Kay Cosmetics and became the first man in the history of Mary Kay to win the pink Cadillac. Thank you. I mean, if that's not living out loud, can you just imagine in 1992 cruising around Houston, Texas in a 17-foot long pink Cadillac? I mean, good Lord. And then in 1996, I decided to change my career, and apparently my biological father's experience did not harm me. And I decided to make a move into real estate, which has just been the most incredible career that I could hope for. It's brought me and my family a life better than I've ever expected. And then just last month, you can't make this stuff up, man, I was acknowledged in Crain's in Chicago for being an out LGBTQ executive. It just blew me away that I would be nominated and honored in a city the size of Chicago with a gay community that we have for doing work in the community. So it was an honor for me, and Realogy's really stepped behind it and promoted it, and it's just an honor to be, this is out. I mean, this is out. There's no getting around it. Pretty clear this guy's gay, right? You can't hide that. So that's my story. I wanted to share it with you just in case anybody else can benefit from that, and I am a living example. It does not matter where you start. It matters where you end up and how you handle yourself along the way and the hard work along the way. And it's truly been an experience. Now, there's three things going on today. That's my thing. That's a little bit about me. Then I'm going to talk about and you roll that script back. Yeah, there you go. We're working as a team, all right? We're going to shift, and I want to talk to you about the luxury market report. This is called a look at wealth. Did you guys enjoy my story? Was that a little? I got to tell you, it was tough. It was tough. I really wrestled with my poor partner. He finally told me last night, turn this presentation off. If you do it one more time, I'm going to come undone. So I've never done this in front of a group like this, but I want to shift gears and talk about the luxury market. This is on your table or in your hands, I hope. This is fresh off the press. These just came out today. You're the first people to get them. This is the new Look at Wealth. It launched last Tuesday, the 25th. It has already received over 60 million impressions, focused on the high net worth and the ultra high net worth of the country because they have such an incredible impact on our industry, literally impacting market factors with their choices. This is going to blow you away, unless you already know this, but today we have 32 million millionaires in the United States, and we have nearly 1,800 demi-billionaires. These are people with $500 million or more in the United States. It is definitely growing, the numbers of the ultra-wealthy, and there's a lot of things to be said about those that get left behind, but today's about luxury real estate. So that's the slide, there we go. So the age breakdown, so today's most millionaires are between 50 and 80, and nearly 7% between the ages of 40 and 50. Demi-billionaires, most common age is 60 to 70, and 10% are between 40 and 50, and 4%, these are demi-billionaires with 500 million in assets, 4% are between 30 and 40. So I clearly took the wrong road at one point. But what a number to see. The largest transfer of wealth is going on right now, so there's a whole different set of demi-billionaires out there that are buying these incredibly, incredibly beautiful properties. So it's anticipated that the global ultra-wealthy population and its share of the total asset marketplace is going to continue to increase steadily all the way through 2020. The Americas have the largest ultra-wealthy population with 43%. However, the 3 geographic regions reviewed, it's anticipated that the Asia-Pacific countries will see the largest increase in both the number of ultra-wealthy individuals and in the total net worth, adding an estimated $6.4 trillion to the global economy by 2020. Here's where they live, the top locations for the ultra-wealthy across the globe. First off, they're all financial centers, ranked here and in order of the top 15. We have 9 that are in the United States, and in that order is New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington, Dallas, San Francisco, Houston, Boston, and Philadelphia. 12 of the top 15 have double-digit growth of ultra-wealthy moving to those cities. So that is a massive thing to follow. If you follow the trends of the ultra-wealthy and the high net worth, this is where they're going. So where millionaires and demi-billionaires reside in the United States, millionaires have held property in wealthy coastal locations, for the most part, California, New York. They have been traditional strongholds. Following those have always been tax-friendly states such as Texas and Florida, and I can assure you, Illinois is not a tax-friendly state. We're overtaxed. But with the unprecedented growth in the millionaire population, these millionaire-favored geographic areas have expanded. They're now spread across New Jersey, Massachusetts, Virginia, Washington, Illinois, and Maryland. These are the top 50 luxury markets in the country. When you compare the first graph to this graph, it's pretty clear to see that's where all the luxury is being sold. That's where all the ultra-high net worth are moving. And there's no missing in the similarity. There's another graph that we have in another report that tracks international, and it's all literally the same. So that's the destination for international buyers. Defining luxury. This was fun. The wealthy can own luxury property anywhere, but working with the Institute for Luxury Home Marketing and Wealth Engine, we took a closer look at 12 diverse locales across 4 key luxury market types: resort, vertical, lifestyle, and evolving, to determine what really influences an affluent individual's decision to buy in a certain marketplace. Lifestyle factors such as activities, culture, ultimately drive their decisions, as well as proximity to amenities like shopping, restaurants, geographical advantages like schools, business accessibility. Amenities that are in demand. Some of this was eye-opening. Smaller properties, smart home automation, eco-friendly, custom design and features, enclosed spaces for sports, that's a thing, right? And collection garages to show off all your toys, show-stopping kitchens, and outdoor living. One thing was very clear when we did this study. If it was built between 1970 and the 2000s, it's not historic, it's just old and dated. And there's a tremendous amount of housing stock in the country that is just old and tired. And there's a movement towards brand new. These are the top cities in the world. So in a recent report by WealthX and Coldwell Banker, cities around the world were analyzed to determine the top 100 most desirable. They ranked them through a comparative analysis on which cities offer the best business opportunities, education, and accessibility as key metrics, while measuring their advantages and disadvantages against the ability to meet the ultra-wealthy's practical, emotional, and financial needs. The top 5 cities for luxury in the world are London, New York, Tokyo, Sydney, and Paris. So we're obviously very happy to have the Big Apple in the mix. That is a snapshot of the report. I hope you guys will enjoy your copy. And I want to get our panel on stage now if I can. Jade, Chris, Sar, you all are all right out there. Welcome our panel. We're going to have a discussion. Yeah. This is incredible how much they've sold. I mean, it's just bigger than some companies, right? It's just amazing. Thank you guys for doing this. And I'm going to come sit with you. There you go. Perfect. Hi, guys.
Hello. Hi, Craig.
This is part 3 of my 3-part show. So we're going to talk about the luxury market. So Jade, let's start with you. Oh, I know what I wanted to show. This is adorable. I found this. There they are. There they are. I got some photos of you guys up here that you haven't seen yet, or that you don't know I have. So just real quickly, for those that don't know who you are or haven't met you, it's hard to believe, but just real quickly, where are you and where's your market? And
I'm Jade Mills. I'm in Beverly Hills, California, in the Beverly Hills South office, and I love real estate.
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And
It
I
shows.
love your story.
Oh, thank you.
I've never heard that before.
That was a
And
tough
I've
one.
known Craig for a long time, and I love that story.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, I'm gay, so I can cry. Right?
Go for it.
I have permission. I have permission. Chris?
Hi, my name is Chris Cortazzo. I have a little bit of a cough, so sorry about my voice. I reside in Malibu, California. I was born and raised there. Jade loves real estate, and I love Malibu. It's the greatest place in the world to live.
I'm Zanganeh. I was born and raised in France, Spain, and for the last 20 years I've lived in Las Vegas. It's a city that I'm passionate about. I love my city, and I wake up every morning excited to go to work. I love my job. I'm privileged to work with the people I work with and have the experiences that I have.
That you are. That you are. That you are.
Also, my mom sold Mary Kay Cosmetics as well.
Did she?
Yes.
God, I wonder if she was on my team and helped me get that car. You know, you got to recruit a lot of people and sell a lot of paint to get those pink Cadillacs. They do not come easy.
I
They
guess.
do not come easy. Can't believe that even happened. Jade, you have a team, I think, right?
I don't.
Well,
I have a
grabbed
family.
this
I have
photo.
a family.
That's what it is. All right. Is this not stunning? My God, everybody's fabulous up in here.
Thank you.
So
We're
this
missing
is-
a couple of children there.
Oh, well, you know, they weren't in the shot I snagged. But I saw this and I loved it. So is your daughter and son in the business?
My son is no longer in the business. My other daughter now works with me. So I have Tiffany and Alexis working with me. And my husband is my biggest supporter, my coach,
Yeah.
my partner, Christopher's good friend. And he has been amazing with my business, helping me with my business.
Yeah, he's been your coach for a while.
He has.
Yeah, and it keeps you on the track.
He's amazing when I come home and say I can't take another day because this person yelled at me or this person did this.
Wonderful.
He keeps me going.
Well, we all need that support. Now, Czar, skipping to you got another kind of team. You wanna
best kind of
explain
team.
this? You wanna explain this?
I'm Czar and I'm an animal hoarder. No, I go home to my partner Tony and to these beautiful animals, and they are what helps me get through the rough days with high maintenance clients.
Right.
They don't talk back. They're always happy that I'm home. If I'm late to dinner, they understand and they're happy to have me home anyways.
That's wonderful.
Unconditional love.
Unconditional love. I've been to Czar's home. If, I don't know if some of you may have. It's like crocodiles swimming around you because they come up to your hips, and there's 5 or 6 wandering around in the living room, and you're thinking, I am not the apex predator anymore. But they're angels. They're just absolute angels. Now, Chris, you are in Malibu, and you have your own gig going on over there. Do you have a team, or you?
I don't have a team. I have a collection of assistants, and there's 14 in total. And we have a well-oiled machine, that is for sure.
And 14 people working in your collaboration. How many, because Malibu is expensive, how many units do you do a year? Is that it can't be a lot, right?
I think last year I did 53, and I sold almost 600 million in real estate.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So your average price point is?
A lot.
Christopher and I are not good with statistics, I'll tell you that right
Well,
We're going to skirt around those things.
well, it's a lot. That's why I asked, because I knew the volume.
Right.
And you've got how many showing agents? And
I have 3 agents that help me show property. I don't believe in lockboxes in my office. I forbid them. So everybody has to be present to show the properties, and there's more properties than I have time to show, so I have help showing them.
Perfect. So the luxury market in the U.S., most people are not clear on the statistics, and I think maybe y'all won't be, because you don't like this stuff, but $1 million and up in the U.S. market is really only about 4% of the luxury market. That's 4% of the U.S. market. So it's the most competitive space in real estate. Everybody wants to be these 3, right? And be in where the world that they sell in, and the commissions and the lifestyle. But not many people are willing to fight for that it's called work.
Work.
It's called work. So knowing that, what would you say about being in that space, how competitive it is, and what should people do to try to get in there or stay there?
I think growing up, you always hear, do the right thing, focus, concentrate, all these things that you don't really understand when you're growing up. When you're actually selling real estate, all of a sudden, all these things, when I was a Girl Scout, I remember, be prepared. They'd always say, be prepared. Be prepared for what? I mean, you never know really what that means. Well, if you're prepared in our business, you'll get the listing. If you know more than any other agent, if you go into someone's house and you know what sold in their neighborhood, you know how many people have lived in their house, how many people how many times that house has traded. If you have more information than anyone else, you're going to get that listing, because that's what they want. They want you to know better than anyone else. And Christopher and I have gone on listings together, and I've learned from him. You have to know your business. Be prepared and focus.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Your input?
I agreed with Jade. Confidence is what what you're saying is confidence is key. And when I go on a listing appointment, I was born and raised in Malibu. I've been selling since 1994. And I know every home, I know everything about Malibu, every location. And when I go in there, I know what I'm talking about and I feel good. And I think confidence is key. So really know your market. If you're new into your market, drive around, spend a month knowing every sale of the last 3 to 5 years and start understanding what you're selling. Because when you go into that listing appointment and you know what you're talking about, as Jade is saying, it's critical. And also if you price something correctly and you lose the listing, be the second or third person if they're way overpriced. It's not the end of the world if you do lose that listing. And surround yourself with people who are really encouraging. My assistants, we have so much fun. We're laughing every day. It could be a crisis in the office. And what you want is you want to build your confidence up. And we're always being torn down. You'll lose a listing. A client will disappoint you. And if you have that support team, it's incredible. Mm-hmm. You're unstoppable.
Well said. Both of them mentioned something I want to add to confidence. Here's something I think, just my opinion. You guys tell me if you agree. Possibly there's some ego in real estate. You notice that?
Maybe.
Yeah, just a little dash. And I think maybe 3 years ago, I was introducing Jade, and I introduced her, and I said, though, I always looked at her as confidence without ego, because she's definitely in the room. But there was never any of that, because realtors do a lot of marketing that says, I'm incredible, I'm number one, I do, right? You begin to believe your own marketing, right? It's like your life is a graph of number one buttons. We shouldn't be that way, right? That's not attractive. That's not attractive. Zara, your input on the topic.
I think treating people right. I mean, 80% of my business, no matter how much money I spend marketing, comes from previous clients and referrals. And I treat people right, and I'm always prepared. I look at the MLS, what has expired, what has been recently listed, what is in escrow, what is sold, every single day, twice a day. I do it the first thing I wake up in the morning. So when I go to Starbucks in the morning, and I used to go to Starbucks every morning in a much nicer neighborhood than the one I live in now, because that was a neighborhood where I was hoping to get more listings. But now when I run into a client and at 7 o'clock in the morning they go, can you believe, so-and-so listed their home? I go, yes. And the reason it's priced so low is because they're going through a divorce, or they have to move, or I already know what they have heard through gossip, and they understand that I'm familiar with their neighborhood, I'm on top of it, and when it's time for them to buy or sell, they call me first because I'm so into my own marketplace. Mm-hmm,
mm-hmm. One thing you said about ego, I think Jade and I, we don't have an ego when it comes to our business. And your key is relying on other agents to show your property. Be kind to everyone. And that's just, I'm a very kind human being. And I know Jade, and it sounds like you are too. And you have to rely on other agents to support you. So never let that ego get a hold of you, ever.
Yeah.
Or you're doomed.
Yeah, it's very unattractive to not be kind. It's just not a winning
I was
strategy.
just discussing that with an agent here, and we were saying, if there's a multiple situation and you have to choose one of these, or you have to tell your seller, I've worked with this broker before, he's honest, she's honest, this person is the one, we want their offer. I mean, you really need a relationship with every agent, a good relationship. And why not? I mean, why have any negative? Just be positive and don't answer for your client. I just had a situation where the agent kept saying to me, we're not going to do that. I'm sorry, but we're just not going to do that. I said, did you ask your seller? Well, no, I'm telling you we're not going to do it. So finally, when we were all sitting together, I said, maybe this would be a great compromise. And they said, great, let's do it. You can't speak for your seller. You never know.
No, isn't that the truth? So here's a little funny story. A couple years ago, Jade was mic'd up. She was teaching a luxury course. I don't know how many of you guys know, but Coldwell Banker Global Luxury has a very extensive certification course to practice in this space. And Jade is one of the Global Luxury ambassadors. Well, she was mic'd up. She walked out the back of the ballroom, and the mic was on. And she's on the phone negotiating for a really big property, and we could hear it. And I'm looking, and I can't find her, and I'm like, oh no. So I raced to the back of the ballroom, and I was like, Jade, your microphone's on. And she said, well, I guess the negotiation part's over. I mean, they heard the real deal going on, so it was.
We did it.
We did it, right? We did it. So I have seen you do your listing presentation. You did one live with me in front of 200 some odd people. She is, as you would expect, she is really good. And
thank you.
that is, to me, being able to handle the listing presentation the right way. Each of you, tell me what goes into that, and how do you get prepped for it, and how important do you think all that show is?
Want me to start?
Yeah, please.
I think, again, if you're prepared and you have a beautiful presentation book, it takes time. But if you're going on a listing that is a very expensive listing, take the time and do it right. So have pictures of other houses in the neighborhood also. Have your statistics, have your sales, have a little information on you, because you're going to be leaving this package with them. And you're going to be able to talk to them in person, but when you go, they're going to go through this book. They're going to look at this book again, and they are not going to remember unless they have something in this book to remember. So make sure you take the time to put something together that's really beautiful and have their house, a picture of their house on the cover.
Wonderful, wonderful. You're on the cover of Homes and Estates magazine this month, aren't you?
I am?
Pretty sure.
Sure.
It's a big old giant expensive listing in your area, so I'm
Oh, good.
guessing it's yours.
Oh, good.
Listing presentations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes.
When I go on a listing presentation, I actually kind of reverse the role. I'm interviewing the client. I want to know why they're selling and what their personality is, because I don't want to take on a listing that I know I can't sell, and the client's going to be unhappy and say disparaging things about me if I don't sell their home. So I think it's really important to really find out about what the situation is. So I kind of reverse the role a little bit, which is kind of fun. Mm-hmm. And I always like to find out where their favorite place is in the home. Mm-hmm. I think it shows that you care. And I just start asking more and more questions about who they are and how they live in their home, because that's going to help me sell it. And I kind of do a role reversal a little bit.
Very good, very good. Zar?
I think that's the time you brag about yourself. That's the time where you show your confidence. Clients want to know you're familiar with their home. They want to know you've sold the neighbor's house. You know the neighborhood well. And one thing that Chris said that I don't know anybody else in my market that does is ask them to give you a tour of the home and show you around. That's what I base my showings around, where they take you first and the stories they have to share. Something you said this week is everybody knows if it's got 5 bedrooms and how many square feet. That is easy to see. But when you walk through the house and you go, this is a movie theater, they built it this way because they enjoy family time. They like to sit here. We have a house right now with a movie theater. It's got beds in it. They get in bed and they watch movies. So you want to tell the story of the house to connect with the person who's looking at it. And there's no better time to do it than at the listing presentation. Let them open up and share everything about the home with you. The rest of it is easy. Sometimes I send the listing presentation a day before, so they've had time to review it. I always include, like Jade said, a picture of the home. Even if it's a house that hasn't been listed before, we'll do a drive-by of the home and take the best picture we can to quickly put it in the report for them so they understand you're familiar with their property.
So you're all using.
They both said something very interesting. You need to connect. You need to connect with your seller. And that is the only chance you have is when you're in their home on the listing appointment. So you have to connect. Whether you talk about the golf clubs that you see in the garage, or you talk about the tennis racket, or you talk about their children going to a certain school, that's your only time to make that connection. Do it, big time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Also on hello, on either when I'm meeting a buyer for the first time or a seller, I'm very sensitive, and as always, as a child, I was extraordinarily sensitive. And I read the personality, and you have to be kind of like a chameleon and just try to adapt to the situation. And I went on a listing appointment that the home was on the market for probably a year and a half and chased the market down, luckily, because I was able to sell my own listing in that process. And they brought me in, and the house, Malibu is more of a relaxed environment. This was a Mediterranean. It had all the yellow paints and the formal Spanish Mediterranean furniture, and it's too heavy and inappropriate for our market. And I walked in, and they were very direct and really fun. And I said, you're not going to like what I have to say, but you have to literally strip the house. And they fell back and started laughing. I said, get all the furniture and you have to paint it white. And he goes, but this is so beautiful. I go, for you, but not for the buyers. And we just connected. I got the listing. I reduced it by $500,000, so it's going to go back on the market at $8,450. And the two agents that were on it are two of my dear friends. And I really fought to keep them on. They're with a competitive company, Compass. And the one just had a little baby girl, and I felt so bad. But going back to relationships, they know that I kept them on. I could have easily have got the listing, but now I have friends for life. And
two big fans.
Two great fans, and I'm not looking at the dollars, I'm looking at relationships and doing the right thing. So it will always, my grandmother says, throw bread upon the water and it comes back buttered toast. It's just, you put things out there in your lifetime, and karma is really wonderful.
I love it. I love it. Buttered toast? I haven't heard that one. That's wonderful. How about some market stats? So I was just chatting with Jade while we were getting mic'd up. This is what we're seeing as Coldwell Banker. So I don't know all your brands. We're ahead of last year on our $1 million transactions, but we've seen a spike in our 10 million plus transactions. We're up double digits. Our 1 to 5, very healthy. Our 5 to 9, very healthy. But it's looking like a pretty good year. I know that every single market's not like that. There's some cooling markets. There's some adjusting markets. There's markets that are very old, and the housing stock's just not attractive anymore. What do you think's coming down the pike? There's been a lot of what do you call it, foreseeing during this afternoon. What do y'all think?
Me?
Yeah. That's why you're up here, dear. Yeah.
Well, no, you all turned at the same time. I got nervous. I think the trend is very much going towards lifestyle properties. We're seeing bigger price points for smaller houses because of the amenities they offer. Companies like the Ritz-Carlton, who are coming in and offering a lot less square footage for a much higher price per square foot. Companies like the Discovery Land Group that offers these ultra luxury communities that are so exclusive, it's for 100 families maybe. That seems to be the trend to me. And the $10 million price range in my area is very small. We sell one house on average per year over $10 million in Las Vegas through the MLS. There's a couple that trade hands privately, but one per year. And I've been fortunate to sell 6 out of the last 10. But it's a challenge to take those listings because sometimes they're listed for 3 or 4 years. I listed at Tom Ford Ranch in Las Vegas, and it was the first time I went to a listing presentation, and I said, I need 4 years to sell this home. And they looked at me like I was crazy, but it was an equestrian property. It was very specific. And from all the research that I did, I had to be honest with them and not promise what the other brokers offered, which was a 1-year listing. I knew it would take a few years to sell the property, and sure enough, the home, after 4 years, expired. They gave me a 6-month extension, and it sold at 4 years and 4 months. And at the closing table, they came and they said, you knew it would take this long, and we trusted you. I was off by 4 months, but it takes a little bit of while. So what Chris said about being very honest with your clients is important. I've gone on listing presentations where the person before me offered, said the property was worth a couple $1 million more, and I've come in and I've given them a real number, and I've lost the listing. And when the listing expires, they call me. I had one person call me 3 times. Second time they called me back and said, you were right, and I had bad news for them. The property had dropped a little bit more. I gave them the real number the 2nd year in a row. They didn't hire me, and by the 3rd year, they hired me, and unfortunately, the property had gone down $3 million at that point, but they finally hired me. So you have to be honest with them because clients will remember that. The broker who went in front of you and said it's worth $2 million more now brings an offer for market value, and they say to him, you said it was worth more than that. Bring me an offer closer to what you said. I want to say something that I can deliver, and sometimes you lose a listing, but in the long run, you win.
I think it's really key to also give a range. If you feel it's 10 million and you say 10 to 12, and if you're not getting the reaction within the first 45, 60 days, you just be really aggressive. And I think it's really important for them to realize that you're a team. You know, we're working together, and that's really important. There's a few other things. Go ahead, and then I'll come back.
You don't have to take the listing either. If someone says, I want to sell because I want to move to a condo, I'm trying to save money, I need money, whatever the reason, and you don't think that they should sell. I went to a very famous lady, maybe some of you are too young to know who she is, but Angie Dickinson. And I went to her home probably 12 years ago. And she said, I want to sell, I think I want to move to a condo. You know, my overhead here is high. I pay $1,000 a month for the gardener and the pool. And I said, well, you're going to pay $2,000 to $3,000 in homeowners dues. And at the time, you couldn't carry your property taxes over. And I said, but the property taxes where you're going are going to be, well, anyway, I talked her out of selling. I said, this is not a good time. At the time, the house was probably worth about $1.2 million. It's in an area called Truesdale in Beverly Hills. The house is now worth probably $8 million. And she has referred me, I can't even tell you how many clients. So if you go and you're honest, you will get referral business, much more than that one house would have brought you in commission.
Oh yeah. And the 20 million plus, do you know any data?
Yes, well, our market is a little different. We are actually down. The 10 million and above, we're down about 14%, between 10 and above.
Wow.
We're down about 14%.
Oddly enough, in the study, 90210 fell out of the most affluent zip codes in the. Can you believe it? Isn't that known world over? They even had their own show.
That's right.
Right? Which you would know very well, yeah? We're watching it, but it's still healthy. You feel like the luxury market's healthy.
Absolutely. I mean, Christopher and I someone called me from my website, which is another thing we want to talk about, have a great website. It's so important to have a great website. Someone called me from my website and said, I want to buy a house in Malibu. And of course, I called Christopher and I said, what do we show them? And he gave me these houses to show, and to make a long story short, they started looking at 7 million. We showed them 5 houses. The last one we showed was what were you asking? 55 million? 60 million?
Yeah. 65.
65 million. And so that's the house they chose. And I showed them 5 houses, and Christopher and I had a very big sale from that off of my website. So your website is so important. When someone goes on there, you want to have a great bio. You want to have great houses. And by the way, they don't all have to be your inventory.
Right.
You can be showing great homes. They don't have to be your listings. But when someone goes to your website, make their time worthwhile so they call you. Because this was one email at like 11:30 at night.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Off of a, you know what I mean? You think, how would you ever connect with people like that? Well, guess what? They went on our website.
And we emailed maybe 3 or 4 times. He lived in Northern California. We took him out that one day.
Oh, God.
It's also, I think the market is shifting a little bit, and knowing and talking to people in different markets could help you in your own market. I talk to agents in New York and the Jills in Florida and things like that. And, be ahead of the curve. Talk to your clients and say, you know what, New York has slowed down a little bit. Florida is adjusting. And then you could use that as ammunition to go back to your sellers and be ahead of the curve and get the reductions that you need and be more price correct. And so it's just all
knowledge.
Knowledge is key, and you want to be ahead of the curve. And I've gotten reductions on a lot of my things, which will turn into sales.
Incredible. Skill set. What do you? I mean, obviously, you guys have been around me enough to know, and I teach the course and all that, and
we've got the tools.
We do, and realtors can. And I'm not being rude. It's just that we can raise our skill set up.
We can too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a process. We're never absolutely premium. Right? We're always getting better, always getting better. So in our course, and in our brand, we teach a rehearsal, listing presentation rehearsal live in front of other brokers, and listening to their feedback and knowledge of finishes at a level that most people aren't aware of. Because the door frame can have $10,000 worth of hardware in it, and if you walk right past it, you're in trouble.
But I think also what Coldwell Banker offers, the information that they offer, and the information that we can put in our package that Coldwell Banker offers, our marketing, is amazing.
Well, it better be. It's my department.
I know it is. But it is.
I can't let her down now, can I?
But it's also the international reach that our company does provide. Every seller wants that international reach, because when you're looking on the board and you're seeing billionaires from China and India and all over the world and Europe, it's really important to have that global reach today, and I love being associated with our company because of that. I think that's really, really important in today's market. And also I want to say one thing, you're talking about your situation, focus on what you're good at. I'm really great at talking to people and being engaged and getting out there. You're saying you go to Starbucks. I talk to everyone. I'm always talking to everyone, because you never know where that would lead. In fact, 24 years ago, I was a massage therapist, and my first client gave me my first listing in 1994 at $8 million, which today is probably worth $90 million as a listing. So you never know where you're going to meet people, and just, again, being kind and all that. But one other thing, Jade and I, we're very focused on selling with our hearts. That's our personality. That's who we are. And I'm not great at contracts. I review every contract before, but that's not my best time. I need to be out there and just, networking the market. And I don't want to do advertising. I don't want to do everything. So I have someone within my office who deals with every aspect. And my job is to be at lunches, socializing, showing properties. That's what I love to do.
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm the best at. So really mobilize your divisions and focus on what you're good at, and you'll be a top agent.
And do talk to everyone.
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody. I think sometimes too, independent agents without a big structure think they don't have a team, but you actually do. It's called your office.
Yes.
And there's somebody at the front that answers the calls and makes sure you get your mail and things like that. If you walk by them every week and you don't say anything, they might not be so supportive.
Right.
But if you send that love out there, you can have all the people in your office. They are your support team. I want to save a few minutes for questions, but I want to ask just one more hot button, at least for me. You guys obviously have a plan. You have to. You couldn't be here without it. Is it an annual plan? Do you sit down with your coach and go over it? And how do you work that out? And the other thing is budget. If there's a call that I get every day from agents, I don't know why. I don't know how we do this or think this in real estate. I really don't get it. They're like, oh my God, I got a $4 million listing. This is so exciting. I don't have any money. Can y'all help me with the, and I'm like, excuse me? You know, that's when, how do you figure that out? How would you tell people to have a plan, have a budget, plan of action, lead generation? What do you do?
Well, I think you had asked me what was the turning point, you know, in dealing with lower end houses and then higher end houses. I had a cold call, and a Russian family listed their home with me for $50 million in Bel Air. And that was probably 20 years ago. And that was my turning point because I didn't ever sell the house. It was always just that much too much. And it ended up selling years later for 20. I think like four agents later. But that was my turning point because we sent out postcards. And at the time, I really didn't have a lot of money to be advertising. But you have to make the best of that listing. You have to make the best of that situation. And at the time, I took that $50 million listing. I did not think it was too much. I thought I could sell it. I really thought that I would sell it. But make the best of every situation. Right now, I have a $300 million listing. And luckily, there are a few agents on the listing.
Yeah.
And we split the cost. But you have to know going into something like that, that they're going to expect a lot of advertising, and you're going to spend a lot of money. And we took it for 3 years. We took a 3-year listing.
You guys familiar with Chartwell? That's the home she's speaking of. It's the Beverly
French, yeah.
Hillbillies.
Yes, the Beverly Hillbilly House.
Beverly Hillbilly
It's
House.
known as the Beverly Hillbilly House.
And it's on the market for a cool $300 million, and we're accepting offers all afternoon. We will be here till it's over.
And it's not even that easy to get in to see it.
It's tough.
It's pretty tough.
How do you guys handle, you know, are you on it, follow a plan, don't deviate, and how do you handle budget?
I've never had a plan or a goal because I just work as hard as I can every year. I don't need any more added pressure. My assistant, Rob, at the time said, and you know, I have homes and all this stuff, and he goes, I would never want to be you. And it just goes to show you how hard we have to work because everyone's off on the weekends and I'm working from morning till night, and then after I'm done with work and the assistants are destroyed, they're going home. I'm going out to client dinners a lot of times in town. And you know, it's just, you know, being up here and being a top agent, there's no secret. It's so much work and you just have to work smart. And so I personally don't have a plan. Do you have a plan?
I don't really have a plan, but I work 24/7.
It was good that we rehearsed the plan question.
But I would rather be honest. I mean, I don't have a plan. My husband helps my office do advertising. He has all the great ideas for advertising me, my self-promotion. And otherwise, I wouldn't even do that. But I think our plan is just work every day and be where the people are they're going to buy, and that's about the end of my plan.
You know what? I think they have a plan. I mean, honestly, these three are obviously doing something very well. So we're down to just a few minutes, and I promised we would save some time for some questions. You've got three of the most outstanding individuals in the industry. You really do, right here. They're sitting right here.
Thank you so much.
So, well, I mean, my gosh. So I'm sure somebody wants to jump up. I don't think we have microphones, right? I don't think we have microphones, but that was your cue for someone to stand up. Yeah. Yeah. Here we got one in the back. Okay.
I think I can project.
Good.
I want to say that you have all been so forthcoming and just so refreshing. So thank you for your openness and sharing. So what would you say? And I'm thinking about my own. I'm refreshing my career and I'm really going to focus on love. And I have taken the luxury of
Mm-hmm. Good.
But if you were to speak about frame of mind and a first step strategy, what would you suggest a board who wants to enter that space?
Frame of mind and a strategy. Is that okay? Anybody want to take a stab?
I think association. Who you associate yourself with, whether it's a new brokerage or join a team where somebody's already in the luxury field, is number one. Because I know it took me so long to break through that threshold. I was younger and dumber than my competition, but I was passionate about it. So I worked so hard for so many years until I got that first opportunity, and then it became a snowball effect. I took that entire commission. I'd never seen a check that big. I took that entire commission and rolled it into advertising and doing what I was scared to do, which was bring on help. I was afraid to have somebody who I owed a paycheck to every week come work for me. But as soon as I did that, it freed up so much time, like Chris said, to do what I was really good at, which was be in front of people. I suck at paperwork. I lose it. I can't send a DocuSign. I'm horrible at that. So I have great help. I've hired people who are really good at that stuff so I can be good at the things that I'm good at.
Very good.
Or a charity, a group, a church. We never really think about reaching out to the people that are close to us. But a lot of times in the very beginning, my husband said, we have to go after the kids' school parents, because why not? I mean, you have 800 families that are waiting for you to reach out to them. So children's friends, parents, your whatever charity you're involved with, but if they don't know you sell real estate, or if they don't know you want their business, sometimes we just don't ask. So ask for it.
Absolutely.
Also, yes, we all specialize in high end, but this sounds like low, but I have a few like $1 to $2 million properties in my market, and I'm not pegging myself just for 10 million and above. I cover the whole gamut. I will do a condo at 500,000 or 800,000 because it's all part of the market. Because sometimes the high end will be doing better than the low end, but you have to have that balance. And when you have you surround yourself with your assistant, you can cover all that. So I don't think you just say, I'm just doing high end and I'm going to take prices all above. You got to get your name out there. You got to get name recognition. And what I did the same thing as you. When I did my first sale, I did 2 pages in Homes and Land, and I started branding myself as high-end real estate. And I wasn't afraid to do that, and you can't be. You have to reinvest in yourself, but spend cleverly. Spend in the areas of your market that's going to work. Don't do it in the Wall Street Journal. Your market's not going to see that.
And
do
it's
it in
too
local
expensive.
papers. Yeah, do it in local papers. Do it in the area that you want to achieve your market share. And getting back to your plan, I think that, I feel if you're the kind of person that needs a plan, you should do that. The way my personality is and who I am, I don't need a plan. But if you are the person that does need the plan, do it. And when you do a sale, reward yourself. Go out and buy that favorite pair of shoes. We all need to build ourselves up and treat yourself to something great, or put your eye
Very
on
true.
something and I buy another house if But you know what's interesting though, when you buy a house in a market like this, you're casting your vote, and you could say to your clients, you know what, I just bought a house. I believe in this market. Because I think Malibu is undervalued. I truly do. And you know what, people are going, wow, if Chris Cortazzo is buying a house at this time, he knows something that...
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you'll do it, you know something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, just...
No, it's good advice.
thoughts.
Good advice. Anything else?
To add something to what Jade said, I've often given that same advice to join whatever charity group. And the number one thing people come back with is, well, there's already a broker who's been there for 5 years. He's already on the board. It's okay. Do it anyways.
Yes.
If you do it, you don't know that broker maybe has some issue with one of the board members, or if they've already hired them and it didn't work out. So don't be afraid to be a second person, and always be very complimentary. Oh, I understand Jade is also on the board of directors, but why are you talking to me? Oh, well, we tried Jade and it didn't work out, so now we want to hire you. It's okay for you to be the second broker in that group or in that association.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One word of advice from each of you, because we're down to 3 minutes.
Do not give up. It's too easy to give up. Don't give up. Never give up.
I love it.
In the year 2000, I had 7 escrows in January, and all 7 fell out in 1 week, and I was devastated. And everyone, and we're very spiritual in our family, I say put it up to the light. Put it up to the light. And I just said I have to trust the universe. And all those fell out, but each one of those 7 deals turned out to be something better. I did not give up. And I just said there's a reason for it. And it all worked out. And that was, I think, the first year I became the #1 agent in Malibu. And I was driven by someone who was not kind, who was in a different position. And I really create that fire inside. And I wanted to say, you know what? Nice people can finish first. And I want to treat everyone with respect. I want to control Malibu. And I want to be a really nice guy in the process. And you can do it. So find that fire within and just do it. Stop making excuses.
Totally. Totally. Zar?
Have passion. Be passionate about what you do, because the day that you hate your job is when somebody's going to notice and hire the other broker. And don't be afraid to, it's true.
It's true.
I mean, you know, you have a bad day and somebody else goes in there, they're excited to be at that house, they'll get that listing. I think clients pick up on your passion. And don't be afraid to share yourself. Whether you're doing a charity event, whether you are just hanging out with your, Zane, come here, come here. These guys in my community, Zane, you're not listening at all, come here. These guys on October 1st, after the attack in Vegas, went around to hospitals in Vegas to visit patients. And there were patients that had been in bed for a week, never got out of bed, were shot in the leg, and they started coming out of the bed for the first time. We had a woman who hadn't been out of bed in 2 weeks lay on the hospital floor because she wanted to be with the dogs. And I shared that on social media with clients, and I shared that with everybody on social media, and it's brought me so much business. I mean, you and I go out, and he's always with us.
Yes, dear.
And it's an easy conversation starter. Sit down.
We have hauled this dog around.
Sit down.
It's like a circus. It's like a circus. He's adorable, and for some reason, he thinks he can sit in your lap. And so he just... But when he raises up, he's taller than you. And so it's like, so we had him in the back of the SUV, well, 3 times in an SUV, and then somehow he can turn and squeeze underneath the table and go to sleep. And then pop back out, and everyone's like, oh my God, that was down there? So yeah, it is a journey. All right, we're out of time. Thank you for doing this with me.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.